Jai Hind everyone. You might have been through these news, and this is a very prominent news of concern. The Amarnath Yatra Shivling has melted down to 90% of its size. Now, the melting down of the Shivling happens every year. But why this is a news of concern? Because this time the Shivling has melted down to 90% of its size within first 5 days of the total 57-day yatra. The rapid shrinking of the Amarnath Yatra Shivling has reignited a greater debate over the climate change, the Himalayan warnings, and increasing human activity in this area. Various scientific studies have been carried out. While no scientific study has identified a single cause for the complete meltdown, but the experts have now started saying that multiple factors are likely influencing the sacred ice formation as well as the meltdown. This early meltdown of the Shivling has once again triggered a debate over the impact of climate change upon the human activity in the fragile Himalayan region, in the fragile Himalayan ecosystem. So, this is something which is a greater cause of concern. This These are the recent images that are floating. Okay, so these are not verified, but the claims are based upon the feedbacks given by the pilgrims as well as the images that have been making the rounds. Okay, 90% of the size of Amarnath Shivling has now melted. Now, this Shivling is not a carved statue. It is a natural ice formation that is created by water that is continuously dripping from the cave roof during the harsh winter months. Usually, this survives well into the entire approximately 2 months of pilgrimage season. But this year, within the first 5 days of the yatra that started on 3rd of July, over 90% of the entire shivling has vanished. Now, to put a greater perspective into this, okay, in the previous yatra, the melting process took over a month. Okay. Moreover, this early melting down is not just the first thing that is happening. In the last 2 decades, this early melting down has taken place various times, but never this has happened within the first 4 5 days. So, the bigger question is this purely a religious matter now? You need to understand that in this case, when we are studying this phenomena and the effects, we need to understand why does the size of the shivling matter here. The larger the shivling at the start of the yatra, the longer it sustains. This year simply it did not stand a chance. The 2026 yatra holds very great significance because this yatra has been taking place after the devastating terrorist attack upon the tourists last year. This year, the record-breaking pilgrim turnout had made the melting even more concerning. So, when we have a look, okay, what effectively is the phenomena and how essentially the things have been taking place. Okay, so this is a natural iced shivling that forms by freezing droplets over the air. Okay, in 2026 it has melted to 90% within the first week of the 57-day yatra. Okay, and this is at a very unprecedented, unexpected speed. Historically, the melting takes place over a month. So, we can see that how this shrinking has been taking place. Okay. Now, moving further, what are the key things that all of us must have a look? Now, the Amarnath cave is located at 12,756 feet, which is around 3888 meters altitude, and this is highly sensitive to temperature changes. Moreover, this uh, shivling melting is not the first time. Okay, it had melted earlier in 2004, 2006. Okay, and in last 2 decades, the early melting has been noticed for over 5-6 times. Okay, but the issue of concern is the speed that is accelerating. Now, over 32,000 pilgrims have visited by 5th July, and the single day footfall had exceeded 20,000. Okay, so imagine 20,000 people breathing in a confined space, in a confined icy space. Now, this is a massive heat pump that is taking place in action. Now, the cave's location is in Kashmir Himalayas, which makes it highly vulnerable because this region experiences elevation, which is dependent uh, upon the warming, meaning the high place heats up faster than the low place. Now, even though there has been an interplay of reasons, but when we move into the greater reasons, we will notice that what all are the primary reasons. Okay, first is the Himalayas are warming faster than the global average. Okay, the elevation dependent warming. Okay, secondly, extreme heat reaching high altitudes and erratic snowfall. Moreover, the snow or ice cover has shrank by over 23% between 2000 to 2022, and it is the temperature is up to 5-degree rise in high altitude parts by 2100 if emissions continue with the same place. Now, one thing that all of us must acknowledge the invisible elephant in the room. And the invisible elephant in the room is climate change. The Himalayas are warming at a rate that outpaces the rate of warming in the rest of the world. A recent study has quantified this thing. Okay, it says that we have already lost more than 23% of Himalayan snow and the ice cover in last 20 years, in the last 2 decades. So, what we are seeing in Amarnath cave is a localized manifestation of this massive regional heat bubble that has been created. Recently, prominent scientists have warned that this fits perfectly into the long term warming trend that scientists have been documenting for decades. So, the bigger question comes up, is this a sudden accident, or is this something that we have been observing and we have been ignoring? The water is heating up and the ice is now paying up this price. The high altitude regions are facing temperature thresholds. The ambient air around the cave has simply become warm and the ice is not able to sustain that. Now, even in the middle of the summers, okay, the uh, effects are very high. Less winter snowfall also means a smaller initial shivling that starts to build up. Okay. Next factors or the more prominent factors are the human and the local factors. The pilgrim footfall. Now, body heat of the pilgrims, carbon dioxide that is emitted, and humidity released by thousands inside a closed cave. Infrastructure, roads, shelters, generators, helicopters, and proposed ropeway. So, people want to undertake the pilgrimage with the highest level of comfort. So, it is high time that we must decide whether it is the darshan that has to take place or the comfort. Next comes the combined pressure. Now, this alters the delicate microclimate of the entire cave. Okay, so while climate has been changing its baselines, humans are turning up the thermostat locally. So this is like thermostat in the entire region when thousands of people are inside the ecosystem. Okay. Now, thousands of pilgrims are inside a relatively enclosed space. Their body heat, exhalation, that is releasing the carbon dioxide, raises the temperature and the humidity of the region. Now, this is called the human heat island effect that is taking place. Additionally, the expansion of the infrastructure. So people have been setting up community kitchens to in those places. There are high number of generators, helicopter ferrying the VIPs, and even road construction is taking place. Now this all adds up to the physical heat and the dust. This ends up absorbing the sunlight and the ice starts melting faster. So the bigger question is that have you ever been in a packed room and felt the temperature rise? This is same thing that is happening there. Okay. If you want to understand this phenomena more practically, just imagine that you are inside a room. The temperature is rising, but the room is made up of ice. Okay. So then you can understand. So the combination of physical phenomena and the human activities are disturbing the microclimate of the cave. Even if the individual impact of person is negligible, the cumulative effect is very high. Now, the scientists have been saying that there is no single reason to this, but we have to acknowledge the interplay. Okay, the global warming plus local human activities. No official study currently blames only one factor, it is the combination of factors. The broader Himalayan impact is that the snow line has been receding, the flora fauna has been shifting, and glacial retreats have been taking place in this region. So it is crucial to understand that this is not a climate change or a pilgrim argument. The greater argument is it is climate change and pilgrim and the infrastructure that is taking place. Okay. The politicians have very clearly, the local politicians have pointed out that this is coupled with broader ecological degradation. The tree felling is conducted. Okay, illegal mining is being carried out and water tables are dropping in this region. So entirely this is the result of the multiplier effect that is taking place. Now in this situation, ice is the victim of a perfect storm of environmental stress that is taking place. Okay, so we need to understand one thing, that if climate is the sword, then humans are the sharpeners of those swords. Okay, the scientists have emphasized that we need to have attributive studies to this. Okay, we must understand the percentage of every factor that is contributing to this climate change. Okay, now this is high time that interventions, there are few interventions that must be carried out immediately. Okay, first is strict daily capping. There we must enforce a scientific carrying capacity for daily visitors. Timed visits, limit the duration of stay inside the cave per group. Infrastructure check, limit heat emitting activities, generators, and promote solar power. Install real time temperature, carbon dioxide monitors, and humidity sensors in this region. Okay, so we need to understand that this is the time we cannot stop the pilgrimage because it is a matter of faith in India. But we can manage it scientifically. We need to have a strict daily cap, the micro monitoring of everything from pilgrims to the resources must be carried out. Okay, so we do not need to stop the yatra, we just need discipline to it. Okay, next, moving further, the way forward, the long term solutions. Okay, so ultimately the long term solution, we need a multi pronged strategy. Okay, so we must balance the faith, tourism, and ecology. Okay, strong conservation policies and community involvement must be done. Support global emission reduction targets and support sustainable alternatives for local communities. Example, we can replace the pony transport with the the eco-supportive vehicles. Okay, so we need a multi-pronged strategy. We must protect the catchment areas. We must stop deforestation. We must stop illegal mining in this region. everything that is destabilizing the ecosystem in this belt. Okay, we must involve the local communities who are dependent upon the yatra for their livelihood. Okay, we have seen poniwalas, so we must help them transition to sustainable jobs. Okay, and all those jobs that do not burden the environment. Globally, we have to acknowledge that unless and until we curb the greenhouse gas emissions, the entire Himalayan range, okay, which is feeding our major rivers, is at risk. So we need to understand that these effects that we are witnessing are pointing towards greater threat that is incoming. Okay, so we must understand that what happens, okay, in the world boardrooms is now affecting the ice in the Amarnath. Okay, so protecting the Shivling is not just a concern of religion, it is a concern of climate change. Okay, finally, what all are the implications that all of us have to acknowledge? Okay, so first and foremost, we need to understand one thing. Okay, now a warning signal for the entire Himalayan ecosystem has to be seen. So Amarnath Shivling is a microcosm of a larger crisis. If the ice in a shaded cave is melting that fast, we must imagine that what will happen to the massive glaciers that are feeding the rivers of India like the Ganga, the Indus, the Brahmaputra. Okay, now, for the loss of this sacred shivling, this is a reminder that our ecosystems are very fragile and we must take the best care of these ecosystems. Okay. Secondly, water security. It affects the snow melt pattern, which will impact millions downstream. Okay. Biodiversity. It will shift flora and fauna in the entire region. Okay. So we must understand that when the ice inside the cave disappears, it is a preview when the mountain would also start disappearing. And this is the future that none of us can afford to have. Okay. So finally, we must understand one thing. Okay. The melting of Amarnath Yatra Shivling is a wake-up call for all of us. Okay. If we do not confront the difficult truth that our faith and the environment, they are deeply interrelated. We cannot save the Shivling without addressing the climate change. We cannot regulate the yatra without respecting the faith of millions. Okay, so the way forward in this is very clear. We must start investing in the science. We must start investing in enforcing strict monitoring in this region, and we must involve the local communities and reduce the global carbon footprint in the entire ecosystem. The ice is melting, but it is not too late. We must now act to ensure that the shivling endures for generations to come. It is not just for us to see. Let us ensure that we do everything to safeguard this shivling so that our future generations also get the opportunity to witness this Baba Barfani. Okay, so do let me know in the comment section what all are your views on this. Okay, and what are the way forward to this. Okay, moreover, please do join me in my Telegram channel. Okay, the channel has been named Defense Decoded. You can directly gain access to the Telegram channel by scanning this QR code. Moreover, the limited period offer that is offering you the StudyIQ IAS GS Foundation courses at as low as 7,999. The offer is ending tomorrow. Okay, so just use the code SRM Live to subscribe to these courses at the best price, and then you can start your preparation in the smartest possible manner. So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.